Good morning, everyone. It's April the 16th, 2024. I wanted to start talking about, I have a few more statistics right now that I wanted to mention that last week I saw another thing on the news about Toronto and how it's the situation in the encampments has doubled since last year. And the shelters are so darn full that they're overflowing. And they gave a figure of, they said they had a figure of 9,591 in shelters right now and only had like 91 spaces left. So this is how full the shelters are in there. And then the other thing that I was seeing about the shelters was in Quebec. The demand in Quebec for women's shelters is overwhelming. Women in escaping abuse, and that they're trying to double their capacity to put more beds in and places for the women to be in the shelter. And they're still having to turn people away. And I'm hearing sometimes they're having to turn 30, 40 people away a night. So that's not too good either. So I just wanted to bring the attention to that. But I mostly wanted to bring the attention to, as I said, solutions do not come easy. But when I did my last video there on more on shelters and housing, I was talking about the minimum wage being $1.25 an hour back in 1975 and how I worked to get my suede jacket at the time. And that kind of set me on thinking, well, now where was I in 1975? And realizing that in 1975, after I separated from my first husband, the police officer, I was in a bachelor apartment. And this was in an old Victorian home that was just split up into bachelor apartments. So that got me thinking, and then I'm realizing, okay, back then I was paying $125 a month rent for that little bachelor apartment. And it didn't consist of much. It was just a big room, basically, where I had room for a little bit of furniture in my bed. And it had a kitchenette off to the side, so like had the sink and the fridge and the stove and a bit of a counter. And then off to one side, I had the basin and the toilet and just a shower. So that served all my basic needs, and that was all I could afford because that was still considered a fairly high price, but it was manageable back in those days as long as I was working a 40-hour week, which was difficult at times because when you're working security, sometimes you are on a site and sometimes you're not on a site, or it depends on where they put you. But I was able to manage that until I went forward, and then I met my my boyfriend, who became my second husband later on, and then we were able to join together, and we finally got a one-bedroom. But it was a matter of working myself up. And I'm thinking this is one of the things that I don't see today. Is I don't see where we have as many bachelor apartments. It's like they're disappearing, and because I remember going by properties where it was advertised as bachelor apartments, and I'm not seeing that where they're actually advertising that there's bachelor apartments. There's some, yes, in the old buildings, but when these big developers come in or they decide to rent evict, they're starting to expand into the 1 and the 2 bedrooms. Well, it's not necessary for that, but a little bachelor apartment to help house the homeless, if we could get a building like I've been talking about retrofitting, and just put all bachelor apartments in there. We could get more bachelor apartments in there rather than 1 and 2 bedrooms. And if we did it in such a way that because most people who are in that low level are either on ODSP or Ontario Works, or the welfare system, as it's also called. And we're given so much a month. And I think it was around $500 at the time. Now I'm on my seniors' pensions and stuff, but when I was on ODSP, I think it was around $500 a month I was getting. So we'll just use $500 as a figure. And that's a good figure to start with, because it's if that's what they gave for the shelter. So if they kept the rents affordable at what the basic income is for, say, what's coming from ODSP, and welfare, and put people that are only getting that in those type of housing, that type of housing, only charge them what the shelters are, and then they're supposed to have enough after that to be able to live. And instead of giving out all these subsidies, like I'm seeing people on ODSP and welfare that are getting like 1-bedroom apartments now for like $1,300 a month. They can't afford it, so they're having to get all these subsidies. But would it not be better to say that $500 and then maybe give them a little bit of extra, like a bonus towards food as well, rather than all these subsidies that the government and everything is starting to hand out till they get on their feet? Now that's certainly one way of doing it. So it's more your rent to income, and so that would be for them. And then another level would be those who are working. It should be more rent to income of what they're making, not what the landlords are charging, because this is what they're doing, is retrofitting buildings and making them unaffordable for people. And these developers are just grabbing all these old properties, tearing them down. And the other thing that we had too was rooming houses, and we don't have as many rooming houses now. That's another possible way of keeping it down, because I've been hearing rooms that are around like $900 a month for a room. Now that's ridiculous for the few that are left. When I was paying $125 a month, even just for a little bachelor for a room, and you have shared kitchen and bathroom and everything. And I know that we've had over the years, because I've been involved in stuff, that there's been problems with rooming houses and that. But I think rules and regulations have to be in place. But bachelor apartments would be absolutely ideal for the mentally ill, a building that was just totally bachelors, and they had all the support systems in place for them in the lower floors, where they have the social workers, they have 24-hour people there, they have the security cameras there, they have everything for them where they can be watched and maintained and looked after. So I don't want to keep this too long today, but I was just coming up with something that I thought, because of my other video, it just brought me on to thinking, well, what was it like back in 1975, and comparing it with what it is today in 2024. And like I said, there's no easy solutions for things, but it's a possible thing to think about on how to make things affordable here until we can get enough housing built. So this is where I'm going to leave it today. And everyone, please have a great day. Take care. Be safe. Be aware of your surroundings. And we'll talk again soon. And bye-bye. Take care.